If you're buying a house in St. Petersburg, Florida, you have to understand that we're kind of dealing with two housing markets right now. We've got sellers that are living in the past. They think it's 2021. They think interest rates are still at 3%, that they're going to do an open house and get multiple offers by the end of the weekend, and that they can ignore repair requests or reject them outright because there'll be another buyer right behind them. And that's just not the case. And if you focus your efforts on houses where sellers are being unrealistic, you're probably going to be disappointed. You should be looking for motivated sellers, sellers that are adjusting to the present conditions. They understand it's a buyer's market, that interest rates are hurting budgets, quite frankly, that a couple of weeks on the market, you're going to have to cut your price, and that most of all, and I'm seeing this with motivated sellers, they're being super flexible on repairs and concessions. If there's an issue with the house, even minor issues, a few $100, a repair here or there, they're willing to do it because they know that the next buyer might be a month or two away and another price cut or two away. So let's just jump right in. The first house is in the Terrace neighborhood, increasingly popular area. And let's jump over to our BuyWise app so that we can go through the questions. And the first one, and again, we're trying to uncover how motivated a seller is, the simplest way to do it. And how many days has this house been on the market? Now, this house has only been on the market 17 days, which is, quite frankly, not a lot. So we're 11 to 30 days on the market. How many price drops are we looking at here? This house has had just 2 price drops, but one of the things that I like here is they went on the market on July 9th. 4 days later, they dropped it 20 grand, and then 9 days after that, they dropped it another 20 grand. So there are 40,000 price drops, and this is just 2 price drops, but 40,000 total in just a couple of weeks, which is a pretty good sign. The last price drop was less than 30 days ago because it hasn't even been on the market that long. And was this house pending and now back on the market? The answer is no. We like to ask that because a lot of times sellers emotionally, psychologically, once they're under contract, they start thinking about the move, they are committed to the move, and then it falls through and they're desperate to get another offer. And that can sometimes be a good time to sort of strike, coming in at a bit of a lower offer. Now, what is the age of the roof here? This one has a roof and AC that are both from 2019, which is 6 years. We like newer stuff, but that's not terrible. 6 years on the roof, 6 years on the AC. That's going to hurt the BuyWise score a little bit. Any seller motivated phrases in the description. We love seeing things like seller motivated, closing costs paid, or we'll fix something with an acceptable offer, bring all offers. That's really signaling to the market that they're willing to work with you. We don't have any of that here. And does the house fit in with the neighborhood? Just looking at this first picture, you can see that the cover photo is great. The area of Jungle Terrace is filled with these sort of mid-century houses with the low-pitched roof. And I think there's even one across the street that's very similar to that. So here's the house across the street, very similar size and style. So we will say that definitely this house fits in with the area. It's not over improved. And then finally, the last question. Is this house in a high-risk flood zone? And using homes.com, it's very easy to find this information. Right here, we see it's a flood zone X. We want to avoid unelevated houses that are A or AE flood zone. So this is definitely not in a flood zone, which is a good sign. And our first impressions, as I mentioned in this first picture, this is kudos to the photographer. This is a scroll stopper if you're looking for a 3.2 in this roughly price range. This photo is good enough that I think it's going to get a lot of action. So I'm going to say definite scroll stopper, which I think is going to hurt our score a little bit here. And it did. We're scoring 63, which would put us in the low priority. And a big part of the reason is we've only been on the market a couple of weeks. We've only had 2 price drops. I think this house is a scroll stopper. It fits in with the neighborhood. So this doesn't mean that you don't go see the house. What it means is that, is this seller super, super motivated right now? And I would say that the answer is probably not super motivated at this point. I would bet that they're getting some action. But let's go through the photos just to see if we even like the house. Again, beautiful picture of the outside, and even the regular daytime photo looks pretty nice. All looks like newer windows. They really cleaned up the outside. Virtually staged pictures are great. This looks like probably reconfigured. This was probably the breezeway at some point, which was probably open. This goes to the garage here, and a lot of these Florida houses were built with an open breezeway, and you can usually tell when there's a step down right here. And nice sage green shaker cabinets with, I mean, this is a new flip, so everything is new. No one's lived in this house since the renovation. Good size living room, decent size primary suite. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this renovation. Washer and dryer included, a full one-car garage. And then as we'll go to the backyard, we'll see classic sort of flipper or investor. Rarely do they do any landscaping at all in the backyard, but it is, I think this is like almost a quarter-acre lot, so it's a huge backyard. If this were my house, this is an exit here. I would probably put a little walkway here and then a nice big wood deck. You could put a really nice big wood deck here and get rid of this stained concrete slab. That's just my taste, but I don't think you'd need to do much else to this house. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. This is a 3-2. This is a 3-2 in Jungle Terrace, almost 1,600 square feet for $579. This price here at $365 a square foot, I'll be honest with you, I feel like it's a little bit high. Even though they've had a couple of price drops, I think their original price was not even remotely realistic. That's just my opinion. I would like to see this house somewhere in the $539 range. Then I think I'd be a buyer, and I think this house is going to get there. And I think that we've got some motivation here because I've already had a couple of price drops. So drop a comment, let me know what you think, and let's take a look at house number 2. All right, this house is in the North Kenwood neighborhood, priced at $400,000. It's a 3-2 with 1,530 square feet, priced at $261 a square foot. This is always going to get my attention. If you can get a move-in ready house in a good neighborhood for $261 a square foot, I am interested. And if you're not familiar with where North Kenwood is, let me just take a quick look at the map so that you can kind of see how close you are to downtown. North Kenwood is sort of adjacent to the far more expensive neighborhood of historic Kenwood, which is, this is like the really dense bungalow neighborhood here, right off of Central. Central Ave is right here, takes you right into downtown. So the North Kenwood neighborhood is sort of maybe a few years, it's definitely a few years behind historic Kenwood as far as pricing goes, but a lot of people are moving here because super expensive here and a little bit lower in the North Kenwood area. So let's jump into our BuyWise app and get started. And the first thing we're going to do is look at the number of days on market. Now this house has been on the market 41 days. That is a positive if you're a buyer, because once you get past that 30-day mark, you're probably going to get a call from your listing agent saying, we got to do something here to get some activity. And let's see how many price drops they've had. And we've had 2 price drops. So they waited 1 month, and then just a few days after that, they dropped it again. So they started at 430, waited a month, dropped to 10, and then a bigger, there was obviously crickets at 420, and because only 5 days later, they dropped it another 20,000. So we've had 2 price drops. And the last price drop was a total of 40,000, which is good. It's the size of price drops. Less than 30 days was our last price drop. The house has not been pending. And then let's see what sort of renovation activity has been done here. The roof is, we don't know what the roof is here. And typically if it's under 5 years, it will be included in the description. So we don't know on that. We're just going to say for the time being 6 to 10 years. And the AC will give them the benefit of the doubt and say the same there, same thing there. And any seller motivated phrases in the description, I don't think that they're quite desperate enough yet. I don't see any offers of closing costs or interest rate buy downs or anything like that. Does this house fit in with the neighborhood? This is, again, typical. You see these like sort of low pitched roofs. These were, winter homes for a lot of snowbirds when they were originally built, and you can almost see like right next door sort of similar sized houses. So we're going to just go ahead and answer, yeah, it fits in with the neighborhood. It's certainly not over improved for the area. Is this house in a high-risk flood zone? I don't think there are any houses in North Kenwood that are in a flood zone. This is an X500, which is good. So we know no on the high risk flood zone. And then finally, what are our first impressions? I'm going to say that it's an average decent photo. In other words, I don't think this is like a super scroll stopper. I think, not being critical of the photographer, but you're catching a little bit too much of this gravel driveway. I get the angle, but I think taken from closer up so that you're capturing more of the house and less of this sort of whiteness of this gravel driveway. That wouldn't have been, I mean, you could have cropped the photo is probably what what they should have done. So I don't think this is a scroll stopper. I think it's just average. And if you're looking in this price range in this neighborhood, you're probably going to think the same. And so here we are, score of 69, which is right on the edge of low priority. 70, I always say that's a definite go see. So I think that the only things hurting this house are it hasn't been on the market that long. The couple of price drops, and then we don't know the age of the systems yet. Other than that, I think it's right on the edge. But let's go through the photos and see if we even like the interior of this house. So it's sort of a cottage style house, and there's a little lake across the street. Show's super nice. It's super clean, very bright, newer floors. I mean, it's got a nice open layout for an older house like this. Kind of a bold move here to paint the brick black there, but I kind of like it. Not crazy about this. As long as they don't put it in a bathroom, I'm okay with a barn door. But other than that, it looks like newer windows too. And difficult to tell the bedroom size. But it looks like the bathroom was completely renovated. A very nice sized kitchen. You might even be able to put sort of an island right here if you wanted some in-kitchen seating. But you do have sort of a formal dining area. Primary suite, good size. So drop a comment, let me know what you think. This is a nice house. I think it looks nicer on the inside than it does on the outside. The curb appeal is not great. Backyard is nice, got a nice little pergola back here. Looks like we got a little bit of shade. That fence looks relatively new based on the color. You're 10, 15 minutes from downtown. You're not in a flood zone. We've had a couple of price drops on this one, not a ton, but I think we've got somebody on the edge of motivation here. And I'll be honest with you, $261 a square foot to get into North Kenwood is pretty good. This is a house worth seeing, I think, based on the 2024 renovation. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think. My name is Steve Reynolds. I am a realtor here in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're looking to buy or sell, shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email. I would love to help you out. And with that, I will see you next time.